Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is an interesting game because it strives to outdo its predecessor by making everything bigger and better, and it succeeds in that for the most part, but in the process it loses the heart that made the first game special. With so much to explore and do, it's easy to get lost and miss the emotional beats that made the remake special in the first place. I'm not saying the game is bad, because it isn't. In fact, I really like the game. It just feels like it could have been something so much greater. The opening is quite a bit slower than the original. In Remake, you had the destruction of Reactor 1, which was fast-paced and really set the mood for the game. In contrast, this game's opening is slow and confusing. You start off playing as Zack, who's a character you know virtually nothing about, walking around the remains of Sector 7. You see all your companions injured and you're thinking, what the hell happened? And then it cuts to everyone being fine and all you can think is, did I miss something? Which leads me to one of my main problems with the game. Its storytelling is a mess. Half the time you don't know what the hell is going on, and the other half you don't feel like the story is paid off in any meaningful way. I'm over 100 hours into this game, and there's only been a handful of story beats that were memorable. So why have I put over 100 hours in if the story's not great? Simple. The combat is amazing. If you played Remake, then you know pretty much what to expect with the combat. The only difference this time around is the synergy abilities that allow you to team up with your allies for more powerful moves. This time around, elemental weaknesses are also a lot more important. So using your materia and weapon upgrades are essential if you want to overcome some of the more challenging fights. And this game has a lot of fighting in it. With every new region you enter, there are at least 10 to 20 new enemies to find and 4 to 5 new battle challenges. Once you've completed those, you can find a regional boss that is sure to bring the heat. That's not even mentioning each region's summons, which have to be defeated before you can wield them in battle. If you find them to be too much of a challenge, you can explore the region and find summon crystals, which lower the difficulty by a stage and make the materia you gain stronger. And that's just scratching the surface of the open world. There are numerous side quests you can do, towers to find, which unlock other points of interest, and mini games to play. Which leads me to my next gripe about the game, the mini games. For the most part, I think the game does a good job with them. In the main story, you never have to make top rank in order to progress, so if you're not feeling a particular minigame, you can always do the bare minimum and move on. If you do happen to like the minigame, you can try for a higher score and gain better rewards for your effort. My main issue is that you can't platinum the game without getting the high score on most minigames. So if there's a game you just don't jive with, or you're not good at, too bad. I've literally tried to do everything possible in this game, and when I got to the side quest, Can't Stop Won't Stop, the last quest in the game that makes you replay the minigames and get the highest score possible, I literally just quit. It's just not worth spending more time playing games I don't enjoy, and it would take hours to do, which is a real bummer because the rest of the side quests were pretty decent. The standout by far was the Proto Relic quest, which has a really fun storyline and has some of the more enjoyable minigames. Another minigame that's also worth talking about is Queen's Blood, which is a really fun card game that is played throughout the region. Each place you go, you can find new players to challenge and new cards to obtain. Once you've played enough of the game, you get a really interesting quest related to the game and its origins, which was definitely one of the highlights of the whole game for me. At this point, I'm at the start of chapter 13, and I'm ready to finish the game. I know the ending has not been well received, so maybe I'll do a follow-up on that when I finally beat the game, but for now, I think the game is pretty good. I personally prefer Remake over it because I feel it's a bit more focused on the characters and building up your relationship with them, where Rebirth is more concerned with giving the players a lot to do and leaving things open for a third part, which I think really hurts it because the moments they try to build up to don't really land, which leaves the game feeling like it has a lot of filler without much substance. If you really liked Remake, then you're probably gonna like this, but if you haven't played Remake or are new to the franchise, then I would definitely hold off.